The Gita says, Gatir Bharta Prabhu Sakshi Nivasa Sharanam Suhrit, 9th chapter, 18th verse. He is not only your father, he is also the mother. He is your child, he is your friend, he's your beloved, he's your all in all. You know the verse, you've taught your children. Tvameva mata cha pita tvameva bandhus cha sakha tvameva atvameva sarvam mama deva deva. You are my all in all. What is the point of this eternal all in all relationship if he's not going to do anything about our suffering? Would a father in the material world just watch his own son suffering and say to him, my child, this is your own karma, it's your problem, and just sit back and watch silently? Would a father in the material world do that? Definitely not. Then how can we accept God as a loving father? Somebody who we are so closely connected to, if all he does is, he takes a note of all our actions, he gives us the fruits, and he watches us suffer our own past actions and does nothing about it. And the scriptures say, he's a witness, he resides within you, he accompanies you life after life. Sarva bhutantaratma karmadhyakshaha. Shvetashvatara Upanishad, mantra 611. What is the point accompanying us life after life and watching us? He doesn't take his gaze away from us even for a fraction of a second. The answer is he watches us. He watches us constantly with the hope that we might turn around towards him in surrender. And he's waiting to grace us with his infinite divine bliss, and not only that, eternally free us from all the suffering that we are going through. The root cause of all our pain and suffering is alienation from God. Do you know that a renowned psychologist, 20th century, some of you may have heard of his name, Carl Jung. He diagnosed the sickness of man, the suffering, to be due to this alienation from God. And our man is sick because he has cut himself off from the source and sustainer of life. The more we turn away from God, the more will we be restless and disturbed. Now, what does God do about this? You want to know? The first thing that he does at the beginning of every creation, he reveals spiritual knowledge and the code of conduct for us to follow through the Vedas. There's an elaborate account of the do's and do nots. And this we have not only in what we call Sanatan Dharma, but every religion. Christianity has the Old Testament, all the do's and do nots. And the purpose of all this instruction and knowledge is that we make ourselves eligible to receive divine grace and get out of this bondage of karma forever. Now, obviously, you'll say, we don't even know anything about the instructions and I don't know Sanskrit, etc. We've got a lot of things to say about that. As I said, this talk could take days together, but it doesn't matter. I'm coming to the point. The next thing that God does again, because we will say, well, I don't know anything about the scriptures. Education is all just material education, absolutely zero knowledge about the scriptures. So he sends his saints to us, to inspire us, to guide us, and give us a simplified version of all this scriptural knowledge. Now, when we turn a total deaf ear, even to the saints, then He punishes us. And that's what the world is here today. I mean, people are suffering and it's getting from bad to worse. As the world is progressing, people are more and more stressed, but we don't want a solution. We would rather go to a party, enjoy ourselves temporarily, or we would switch on the TV and go from channel to channel just to get out of that stress, but we will not be ready to listen to this. So when we don't listen to the saints, He punished us, just as there is a written law in the world, and disobedience of law is punished, isn't it? Even a father in the material world punishes a son for being disobedient. But that punishment is an expression of the love and care of the Father, isn't it? In the same way, when God punishes us, it is not out of enmity. It is out of His love and grace for us. But unfortunately, we do not understand that, and we end up blaming Him. There are courts, police, prisons in the world, isn't there? And these are for maintaining law and order and punishing the wrongdoers. Now suppose these were to be shut down. You know how much of public money goes into maintaining this structure? Immense amount. And suppose for 24 hours, all this, the police force, the prison, the courts were to be shut down completely. What would happen? The result would be disastrous. Murders, rapes, thefts, mugging, looting. Today, in spite of all this structure, there is so much crime. Just imagine what would happen if they were shut down. So I'm sure you can understand that even in the material world, punishment is for the betterment of man. It is to deter a person from committing crime again. That's what it is for. Now, if a person has committed a murder, say, and he goes to the court himself and accepts his crime and asks for forgiveness. Please, please forgive me, and I promise that I will not commit another crime again if you forgive me. And if I happen to commit the smallest crime, I'm ready to go through the worst punishment. Please forgive me. Will the court forgive him for his humility and his right resolution? The judge is going to say, you have to go through the punishment. There is no pardon or concession. We will see next time. But there won't be any next time because he's going to be hung before that. Now, let us come to the spiritual court. I'm talking about the material court. We'll come to the spiritual court. There is a vast difference. There is both justice and mercy in the spiritual court. And the mercy that there is unimaginable.